John Gottman, one of the greatest researchers on marriage and family with 40 years of evidence-based experience working with couples, studying their relationships, their transitions to parenting, and examining how the parenting relationship impacts children, gave us a rare gift with his work. He explains that the couple relationship is fundamental for childhood development and that how we emotionally coach our children impacts their well-being. There is no doubt from the research, not just his, but supported by so many others, that the real cradle a baby is nursed in is the emotional climate between parents. As a parent, I am well aware that we can never do it perfectly, and Gottman supports us in that idea. And we might be forever questioning our parenting skills and wanting to do it better. And we can apply some simple research-based roadmaps that help us and our children. If you're not a parent and you're listening today, this is really useful information to examine our own experiences and how they established our personal views. As parents, we spend a lot of time focusing on academic or sporting achievement. We can also invest in what builds the foundation to manage academic achievement and disappointment and sporting success or the discouragement that often comes. This episode covers an easy 5-step emotion coaching process from a book called Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child, a book written by John Gottman for parents of children of all ages, because it's never too late to start doing this. Before I present it, it's helpful to know that being human means that we experience multiple emotions, sometimes simultaneously. Our daughter identified this really simply when she was little, but when she was saying goodbye to a puppy from a litter that our sausage dogs had had, and she referred to it as the happy sad, a clear paradox of emotion and really well supported by research. What is most significant though about her particular moment is that we can feel an uncomfortable feeling even if someone hasn't done anything wrong. And this is an important concept to think about when thinking about our thinking and when feeling our own feelings, and especially when helping our children to process their own. Henry Cloud, the author of the Boundaries books, along with John Townsend, suggested that we ask ourselves a simple question. If someone is sad, does it mean that someone else is necessarily bad? And usually, or hopefully, the answer to that question is no. As shown in the simple example of the story of the puppy, clearly there was no victim and there was no villain, even though we had a very sad little girl in our home. Often our black and white thinking doesn't give space for the no one is bad if I am sad concept. Helping our children navigate the emotional world does not mean that there are no boundaries on their behavior. In fact, by using the simple 5-step process, we place boundaries on their behavior and not on their feelings. Gottman step 1 says, for parents to be aware of a child's emotion, kids feel, and we need to be okay with that without punishing children for feeling, without dismissing them or scolding them. And this is the first step, and it's something that requires a little bit of internal examination with how we feel about feelings, a concept that is known as meta-emotion. Step 2 is we recognize the emotional expression as a wonderful opportunity for intimacy with our children and for teaching. Even negative feelings that they're having can be an incredible point of connection, a point of healing, and a point of growth. Number 3, we learn how to listen empathetically while validating our children's feelings. I can see that you're frustrated and I totally get it is one example. Or yes, I completely understand why you're angry right now. Now, this is more difficult than we think. And remember, the expert on validation is not ourselves, but the person that we're talking to. And I've covered that in a previous video. Number 4, we can help children label their emotions. This is where they learn to put words and meaning to how they're feeling. I found that using a simple chart with feeling words is helpful for children and for many adults to get started. Most of us don't have the words for what we're feeling, and increasing our vocabulary is helpful for us to understand what is actually lying beneath the surface of our iceberg. I read the other day that culturally men are accustomed to being angry and women are more comfortable with being sad. And we really need to help our children increase their repertoire of feelings in order to help them build emotional maturity. Lastly, Gottman suggests that parents can help children discover appropriate ways to solve their problems or deal with an upsetting situation. Notice here that we don't just jump in and solve it for them, as this would prevent them from expanding their own capacity. It's in this step that we might redirect misbehaving children for what they do, not for what they feel. It's when we encourage emotional expression, but set clear limits on their behavior. What I've learned from our own children and from many others that I've had the privilege of talking to is that they are geniuses. They have an incredible capacity to solve their own problems while in the safety of our love net. And usually with the motivation of love, we want to just jump in and do it for them. But often what they need is for us to believe in them, that they have the capacity to work through it with our side support effort, without us dictating how it should look, which is incredibly tempting. Many parents that chat to me about this process are really worried about engaging in the emotional world as children, as somehow we might be validating all the wrong things. Gottman suggests that it's in the emotional world that we find connection, and he challenges us with this. And I personally believe that it's in this world that we can teach them that they are loved no matter what, which actually is the starting place for some really healthy boundaries. I recently did a study on the various emotions that Jesus felt. In Hebrews, the Bible says that he was fully human. And here are just a few thrown into the screen. In the Garden of Gethsemane, before he goes to the cross, he expresses a thought in his prayer to God. Is there any other way? He sweats drops of blood, evidence of the anguish, the deep feeling that he had, and then he surrenders his will to God's will, motivated by compassion and love. A beautiful description of all the parts of our soul, our thoughts, our feelings, and our will directing our behavior. This is a unique expression of perhaps our own experience of what it means to be human and to have a healthy soul. Something that I propose cannot be taken lightly nor answered with quick explanations, but is indeed a wrestle in our deepest parts. I'll see you next time.
And your family, and your children, and their children.